Hello, everybody, and welcome finally to the Joust Overwatch League Stream On with T-Mobile. It's great to have you all here for our co-stream of our Overwatch League Joust matches tonight, of course, brought to you by T-Mobile. I'm Mitch Leslie. I'm joined here by Matt Morello. I'm also joined by Associate Art Director here at Team 4 in Blizzard, is Dion Rogers, and Senior Concept Artist David Kang. Dion, first of all, mate, how are you doing? Good to have you back. We hung out in the Overwatch 2 PvP reveal stream.
Oh yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me again too. Good to see you guys, and I'm excited to see the games today.
He liked us enough to jump on again.
Yeah.
didn't
I have some more questions to ask.
David, great to have you on, man. Obviously, this is a pretty big match that we get a chance to see, and I kind of know that you already have a team picked out that you want to see make it into the Joust finals.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoy watching Overwatch League, and I do root for the underdogs. So I'm hoping the Atlanta Reign wins this one.
Now, yeah, I mean, Matt, at desk it was like 2-1, I think. If you managed to watch, it was like 2-1 favored Atlanta to win. That's pretty wild considering what happened last night with Dallas.
I get swayed so easily, like with. Like the underdog Atlanta,
people pick Atlanta, you just join them. Yeah,
they've been looking kind of good. We talked about how awesome Pelican has been. Like,
right?
They have a real shot. Dallas has looked so good. I do think it would be kind of fun to see them have a little bit of adversity, not just kind of like beat Atlanta and then Atlanta, win again, and then we see a rematch. I mean, they even have the IBM power rankings up now. It's like everybody on Dallas is either 1 or 2 in their respective role.
Like 1 through 6, something like that. Yeah, you can see that now.
Wow, thanks for letting
I mean, no one is like lower than 3rd. Before we jump in now as well, I do want to give a quick shout out to T-Mobile who have helped make this happen. When you game, you'll know T-Mobile has you covered. America's largest and fastest 5G network rules the leaderboard in coverage, so you'll have map control from coast to coast. It's just another way the leader in 5G is changing the game. Visit T-Mobile.com today to check it out. Your game will thank you. Again, big shout outs to T-Mobile for a chance to get on here and do something a little bit more casual, Matt. You know what I mean? First of all, obviously, we're often casting these games. We're a little bit buttoned up. Second, we also have the chance to hang out with, 2 people today that are very, very close to the game and in terms of making Overwatch and the Overwatch League by extension happen. So, yeah, we're going to get gameplay in just a sec while they're doing the pre-show, but did you give your prediction, Matt?
No, I kind of just said I liked both teams.
You just trailed off, mate.
I kind of just said I'd like both teams. I'll take Atlanta. I like the underdog as well. I like the fact that they have multiple players who have animal names. I just find that hilarious with Pelican, Hawk, and Gator, just kind of getting the full spectrum. Yeah, you can tell. This is the high level analysis, the stuff that really brings the people in. I like them because they have animal names, but no, I think Atlanta definitely poses a lot of issues for Dallas. I gotta say, before we get into the game, the 2 new reveals the other day at the Summer Games Fest, the Sombra and the Batiste, those are clean, guys. Those are
thank you.
Yeah,
I think David worked on a bit of that, right?
No, I didn't get to work on those, but my coworkers did, and it's always a challenge upgrading the appearance of our heroes, and I think my coworkers did a great job.
Because the appearances are super cool to begin with, and then it's like, well, how do we make them cooler? It's like, I remember the Sombra one when they showed it. I was like, oh, the side of the hair with like the extra detail and stuff. I was like,
yeah,
oh, this is sweet. She's banned here for the Joust, so we won't see her.
She's out of rotation. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that these hero pools, we kind of thought they would force everyone to sort of play the same, same one composition that was really strong. But we're about to get an example of 2 teams that actually play. I mean, outside of control maps, which is a bit more brawly, so you do see like the Winston setups, but yeah, Dallas and Atlanta play really differently, and we'll actually get to see like they're 2 separate teams, like takes on the metagame after all this iteration over the last month or so.
I'm sure it's with you guys as well. It always fascinates me whenever we have the Overwatch League, like what they come up with in terms of like what to play. When you see like the hero pools or even without it, and you play ranked, you're like, oh, this feels super strong, and then they come out and play something, you're like, why are they playing that? And then they do it so well that you're just like, it also feels defeating though, but when you go into ranked and your team tries to do it, but they're just a really shoddy imitation of it. And like, I remember when goats was the thing, and like everybody in ranked was like, gotta play goats, but like nobody understood how, so you just have players running everywhere.
They play the comp, but like they didn't know why it was goodness. It's like knowing that 5 times 5 is 25, but like not intrinsically understanding how multiplication works, like in general. It's like rote learning versus a deep understanding kind of thing. That was a fun time in Plat.
Oh, we got a duplicate off the bat here. It's like these fights go so fast with this like meta as well, and the Echo just the Echo duplicate. It's so interesting. It's so strong from the fact that, I mean, look at this. Like, I think that was Pelican's second self-destruct. Sparkle's got one as well. It's wild how effective they are with it.
Looking like he wants to offload it, but
Did she? I'm curious. Obviously, I'm sure there's plenty of play testing, but I wonder internally was early on, was Echo sort of primarily copying tanks, or like was there like a way that you know, people like to play her early on during play testing?
Yeah, she was a tough one for us. We wanted to make her for a long time, but the technology to do the duplication was interesting. And, you know, it obviously messes with the game, the kind of balance when there's 2 Reinhardts instead of 1. But mostly, yeah, that's what people would do, a tank, and you get that extra boost, especially Reinhardt, two Reinhardts, double up shields. And then the Earth Shadow, the double Earth Shadow was pretty powerful.
Yeah, you definitely last longer as a tank. So.
It's she is so fun though. I remember when you guys first released her, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like she can duplicate the other team, like one of those heroes. I think everybody was drawn to the ultimate because of like how crazy it was, so people kind of like didn't really recognize the rest of her kit. But whenever I play her, I was like, the most fun I have is like the sticky bombs, being able to just stick. I love sticking the tank and then watching him walk back into a few teammates and giving some damage to them as well. But then the focusing beam, being able to fly above like a tank or see a few players weak
and train them.
Yeah, just finish them off. Atlanta looks pretty good to finish this round off here.
Dallas this is kind of like the crazy part, is that Dallas are losing out in the matchup that they kind of pioneered in this. I mean, it is control. Like winning the first team fight on control is huge, because you're just going to build Cole every fight, and you obviously have a bit more of a positional advantage. So, you know, that kind of helps a bunch. But I thought focusing beam was so fascinating because, you know, it was actually one of the I think, especially during GOATs, for example, a lot of people talked about like, hey, you know, these abilities that are designed to kill tanks, or these abilities that like get stronger, maybe it's like percent health based damage, or like ramp up based on the target's health. Like focusing beam was the first time we actually saw an ability that, you know, got more powerful when a target was low, and it's kind of what turned it into a really sick tank killer ability without being really busted dealing with like you know, you don't just walk up to a 200 HP target and use it. So I thought that was really cool. It's like the first time we saw that as an answer mathematically to large health pools.
Well, it is kind of, yeah. Well,
we played a lot with once we did figure out she was going to duplicate, we're like, okay, we're going to do it. We needed to figure out like how the other team could tell there was a duplicate character. You know, the VFX or the shaders that we needed to create. We need to really sell that she was like the shader you see on Diva now. So that was a challenge for a little while, and then once people got over the duplication ability, they started to dig in on like the beam and the sticky bombs, and she turned out to be a pretty powerful character all around, right? Not just the duplication.
Well, it's so interesting because you don't even really know until it gets out in the wild of the players. I remember when you know, I went down the campus and I played, I think I was Brig, and I was like, like, I don't know if she's that strong. And then like as soon as the players got a hold of her, like, she's pretty strong. That's like, but you just can't tell, right? and they also like everybody has such different uses. Where when I was like, oh, Brig would be pretty effective against like dive. I never would have thought putting Brig with other tanks and like keeping them up, and it's you never like because I would have always thought like, hey, if you're gonna play Echo, you definitely need a Mercy, and like she's gonna be up in the sky a lot, but you don't even see them.
She moves
people
so
really
quick.
need it. Yeah, she moves so fast.
Brig is permanently in a goat skin for me.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Every time I play her, it's goat skin.
I love the self-awareness of that. When I saw that come out, I'm like, I mean, there is just no world where I don't pick this up. This is it's just incredible. And it's so funny because people look back on that goats meta really quite fondly, or a lot more fondly than you maybe expect because of how long we had it. So when people will ironically just bust that skin out and be like, yeah, I miss goats, you know what I mean? Like that was just such a good time. And I was like, wait a minute.
That is how
During
it
the
always is. You know the
Yeah,
amount of times I've seen on Reddit where people are like, oh, they should really give Ana the speed boost back with the nano. I was like, do you guys remember when that happened?
Right.
Everybody, there were just threads about why does she have the speed? Like now it's like, oh man, it'd be so cool if you brought the speed back. Like everything is everything becomes cyclical, right?
Yeah. How are you supposed to? I've forgotten what it's like to do a speed boost Genji with the nano boost. As an Ana player, I always have nightmares about missing sleep darts and playing Genjis, which happens all the time. But the speed was so frightening, and the Roadhog as well. He just walk up on you, you're like, well, I'm dead. Yeah, I'm dead.
Could you imagine? I don't know why I just thought of this, but could you imagine a duplicated Reinhardt with the nano boost with the speed and like how fast you build up the shatter? Like you would just have like it would be crazy. Not saying I wouldn't want that. I would want it for my team, not the opposing team. But Dallas is actually putting in work here on this second point.
Sparkle duplicated Winston, which is kind of wild considering it's tough for Winston to actually like eliminate a single target in this meta because the healing and the sound barrier and always coalescence being in the fight. Let's go, Dallas. Oh, I might be the only one here who wants Dallas to win.
You become a Dallas fanboy now.
Yes, because I think they're the best at this. I think here's why. I just want to be right. It's like what's conflict? What is it when like you say something and you want events to back that statement up? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's me right now because I said I thought that this like Winston Lucio Moira comp was the best and better than Double Shield. So my point would be proven if Dallas beat Atlanta. I don't really know for sure, It just makes me look smart, man.
Yeah, that's just predict the favorite. So if they win, you can see guys, look, I knew the favorite was gonna win. Yeah, you're the person on Reddit who is like, yeah, I knew the shot could do it.
No, I'm the person on Reddit was like, oh man, it was so much better during Apex. You guys remember Apex? That was lit.
I gotta say too though, like this is the first time that Atlanta's ever been in this type of position where like the pressure has to be on. You're going up against the team that just won the previous tournament. They've been rolling through this one. It has to be a lot of pressure because Atlanta's always been a team that we've kind of labeled as like the gatekeepers of the league. Like they're good enough to just smash all the teams near the bottom, but then like they're not good enough to get over the hump with like those top teams. I was about to say they're kind of like the Knicks, but the Knicks can't beat anybody typically. But they've really kind of ascended in this meta, which it would be nice to see them get over like the hump of winning because I think once they get over that, I think it unlocks like so much more confidence for them as a team.
Young, right? Like super young.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe Master. Like Hawk's 19, I want to say.
Yeah, I think he's young.
Yeah.
Wow. How are the coaching differences between those two teams?
So Dallas actually brought in like a new coach in the off season who was from the Paris Eternal, and a lot of the roster is players he's worked with in the past. Atlanta has been like a little bit of a construction over time. Like some of these players were here at the beginning. Massa was like one of the early pickups. Then each year they've made like small additions. But this year, really they've added Pelican and then Kai, who's on the bench right now. But he'll probably play in the next few maps. He's like really good. But a lot of these players they've kind of had in the system. And one thing with Atlanta, like their coaching staff may not be the strongest, but they're really good at scouting talent. like being able to find somebody like Pelican and bring him in, and Gator and Hawk, who are playing in contenders. A lot of people were kind of questioning, like, oh, they Overwatch League quality, like they definitely are now. Where I think Dallas's coaching staff is way more in the let's get creative and come up with different compositions, where Atlanta relies on finding the talent and then putting them in a position.
I think
to
Atlanta's coaching staff is like, I think they're a little less experienced actually than Dallas's. I think like Dallas really wanted to recreate what made Team Element Mystic so great in Korean contenders. So they brought on the coach and many of the, and so many of the players from that roster. They really tried to recreate that.
Oh, that's why.
Atlanta right now have their head coach is a guy who's been coaching since very, very early on. Sefi, and they've got an Aussie bloke who's doing it remotely, and a guy who's sort of. I think their coaching staff definitely is less, definitely less experienced here. But I'm interested in to what degree it's more of like a democratic setup.
Just an Aussie bloke. That was the most Australian way.
It's not obviously not just an Aussie bloke, but he individually was scouted for his work on the Los Angeles Valiant, I think. But before that, he like worked with Australian contenders team, which is by comparison, like it's a really undersized region. So it really shows like how deep Atlanta have always tried to go to scout these people, because they have like a lot of people embedded heavily in like contenders in the tier 2 scene. Whereas I'll be honest with you, I definitely think for the Dallas Fuel, it's like, right, we have the money, let's go get the best. Let's try and recreate whatever juggernauts have existed in years gone by. That's kind of always been their
It's like the Yankees, it's like,
but it's never worked so well. It's never worked.
Has Dallas always had all the money?
They've always had
the appearance of that, at least.
They've always been able to put together a very good roster. I think the one thing with Dallas is at the beginning of the Overwatch League, they came in with a roster that was really good pre-Overwatch League, but with the structure and how everything changed, they couldn't keep up in that regard. That was my mouse there.
That would have been 2 if Hanbin doesn't get up.
Because once all the teams got to LA and everybody was on the same playing field with practice and whatnot, other teams were able to catch up and really take over them. But they had such a fan favorite backing.
So popular.
It was hard to get rid of any of the players. But eventually they were like, okay, we have to win.
Eventually
we have to move on.
I mean, Kassa was on that team, who's now on the desk. He spent some time on the Dallas Fuel. They had like the favorites of European Overwatch. I would say a lot of like really like well-known guys like Taimu, Unco, like a lot of the French guys. So it was a dominant team. It was like one of the most dominant teams of the pre-Overwatch League era. But I think the coverage of Western Overwatch really in English way eclipsed that of like what was happening in Korea. So we had no idea what was going on in Korea, and then all of a sudden we realized there's just all this untapped talent that was just hitherto unknown, and that's what we're seeing now. That is that talent that's really been unearthed over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to look at the level of play now. I mean, this is just this is a perfect example of how his sparkles just pop. But like with even the beginning of Overwatch as an esport and as a game, you were like, oh, well, we need a hit scan player who can play like McCree and other things, but like he couldn't play Genji or Pharah. Like now everybody's so good they can play everything. It's we have our diva specialists. It's like, well, now you have to be able to play Sigma, Ball. This is crazy because it looked like Dallas is actually gonna turn this, but Atlanta came back.
Nice.
Oh God! No!
Atlanta, we're gonna win.
Yeah, Mitch is the curse.
Nice.
This
got it?
This breaks my hypothesis. No.
Nice.
Wow.
Hey, after yesterday's games, as long as the game is close, I'm okay with whoever. Yesterday's games were no bueno. They were no bueno. They were blowouts. But it's kind of what you get though when the teams are so separated, and the teams in NA, they practice and play a certain play style. The teams in APAC, they play a certain play style. And when you see them clash, we were talking yesterday during one of the games. It's like, Shanghai can't really practice for Dallas because nobody's doing what Dallas does in Asia. So you can't practice until you see it in real time, and then you're like, uh-oh, like what do we they can't just make that change. Yeah.
Is ping that bad that you can't play with practice with someone across the like east to west?
It would get a little bit extreme, but with the way that we kind of have this, right, where these two teams are in Hawaii, they can play against the teams in China, in Korea, via magic through Tokyo. I don't know the exact networking term. There's some cable. I didn't run the cable, but there's a cable that goes from Hawaii to Tokyo, and that allows that allows everybody to play at like 90 ping. Which also the game has like a setting where they can set like an artificial ping, so they can pretty much put everybody at the same ping in the lobby, as long as they don't kind of fall above that. Yeah, it's actually so incredible that like this is actually even able to exist, right? Like with everything that's gone on, it's how do you get teams to the same spot, and how do they play? We even have players in Europe, right, who are participating in the regular season who that we help them with the ping adjustments. It's really an awesome feature. It's something that you wouldn't know how awesome it was a feature of it till this happened, right? But now it's helped create an even playing field for everybody.
We have a moment here because the main broadcast is in break. So something fun that we get to do in this moment is to answer some audience questions or some questions that have been submitted. Could be like me or Matt or anyone. This is our magenta moment. Overwatch League Stream On with T-Mobile Fan Connection is presented by T-Mobile, of course, leader in 5G. And we've got a bunch of questions submitted to us via Twitter. Some are I think for David and Dion. Some are also for me. So we'll start. I'm just going to go down.
None for me. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
this one specifically isn't for you, Matt. And we'll read it out.
Okay.
Right, T-Mobile's got you covered. Hisoka Moro on Twitter. Thanks for the question. T-Mobile's going to hook you up with a 5G phone and Overwatch gear. So,
wow, nice.
Thank you very much for getting involved. So your question was,
I should have submitted a question
for me. I can't believe it. How'd you get into casting? I know for Matt, he was a pro COD player, but how did I get into the industry? I was not a pro COD player. I played Call of Duty 4 on PC.
You said I was a pro COD player.
Yeah, you're a pro COD player. I was not. I was like on a semi-pro team on COD 4 on PC, and I used to scrim 40 hours a week. Still bad, but then I had to go to uni, and I didn't have time. So I started radio broadcasting the games from the league that I used to play in, because I wanted to stay involved. I don't know why. Maybe that's not fun to many people, but I did like 200 broadcasts in my first year, just radio stuff during the week. And eventually, it turned out to be a thing. I didn't know it was actually a thing. I was just doing it because I wanted to stay involved in the community while I studied at uni. But I ended up working. Well, here I am. I ended up working out pretty well. So yeah, Matt, for you, was it just a transition, right, from being a?
Yeah, I was a pro player for years, and then I had stopped. And then I just kind of got, it's a lot of it's like about luck and timing. I lived in New York. That's where the MLG offices were. Chris Puckett was like, yo, I need somebody to host this thing with me. Can you come by? I was like, I have no idea how to do that, but sure. And then I showed up and he's like, oh, you can be pretty good at this if you want to. And then at first I was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm interested. And then the more I did it, I was like, oh, this is super fun.
People have to listen to me talk. I don't have to listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's and also I just loved really teaching people about the game and like the games in depth and just kind of how the strategy works. And I think a lot what I like to do is just try and get people better at the game and educate them on why they see certain things and certain things happen. Because I think that's what ultimately, like, I watch a ton of games because I want to get better at those games. I like watching people better than me play, and then me go out and attempt it at 75% of what they could potentially do. But no, I think that's kind of where I was at, where I didn't want to play professionally anymore.
Way more thought out than mine.
Yeah, I didn't want to play professionally anymore. It was just too much of a time commitment, and I was like, I still want to be involved. I love games. I've I know I competed in stuff on like the Xbox 360 and like way back.
Didn't you compete in like a bunch of random like shooter titles?
I won a car on Rainbow Six when I was a
What?
kid.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh
I
my
won a
God.
car. And it's super funny because a lot of the people that I played games with are still actually in the game industry. So like Veli, who's another caster, I used to play games with him when I was like 15, 16. So it's like actually been super awesome to watch
Crazy, yeah.
and just kind of see a lot of the people I grew up with become, you know, adults and have jobs and positions in the scene.
That's cool.
That's wild. All right, we're jumping.
What kind of car was it?
Yeah.
It was a Dodge Nitro. And we kind of gamed the rules of the tournament. It wasn't the best run event, I would say. So there were 2 game modes in this tournament. This is gonna be ridiculous, but one was like a search and destroy, like a Call of Duty, where you have to plant the bomb and whatnot. And then another was like a respawn game mode that was like really fast paced. But in the rules, if you drawed the game mode for the search and destroy, you didn't have to play it. You just played another respawn one. So all we would do in my little 16-year-old brain was like, oh, this is a great idea. We would just sit in our spawn and draw all of those game modes because we weren't that good at it, and then just win the other one. And we made it all the way to the end, and it was it was crazy. I just remember going in and telling my parents, it's like, I want a car, and they were like, what are you talking about? I was like, I want a car with these guys online, and they're like, yeah, okay. And then a check came because we ended up just selling it back to the dealership like straight away. And my mom and dad were like, okay, so what is this thing now? Like, explain it. Like, and then my dad drove me to an event in North Carolina. And then I got second there, and then I got like first at the next 3. So I just kept doing it.
All right, hold on, man. I got some stuff to handle. We're going to cut back to the game in just a second. Again,
Okay.
Thank you for your question, Hisoka Moro. T-Mobile's got you covered. They're going to hook you up with the 5G phone and Overwatch here. So again, thanks for that. We're going to jump into. You can carry on with this map. We're going to jump into Volkswagen
No.
Industries here.
I would have held some of my questions for Dan and get a phone. I was asking questions at the beginning. I didn't know. If I asked a question, I get a phone. I mean, that's pretty
well,
cool.
we've got plenty more to get through. Maybe if you submit yours in time, you can't just ask it to me though, or any of the
That would be
the rest of us. But,
All
I'm
right,
from
so
North Carolina.
it was a Charlotte event. MLG used to do these like traveling circuits, and
that's where Envy were based for ages, yeah.
yeah, and we would just travel. It was so funny because like there were no sponsors at that time or anything. Like,
Right.
you basically just went off of like word of mouth of like, this event's going on in New Jersey at this
Right.
at this spot that's acquired 16 Xboxes. Let's go. And like, yeah, you're. I think like my first event, we ended up sharing a room like between like 6 of us or 8 of us. People just sleeping on the floor, just people
That's
everywhere.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it was like
Oh my God.
everybody. It was so different back then, but it was everybody just loved like the game and just
Yeah.
It was it's even about more, and I think you kind of see that when we all get together at like BlizzCon or Overwatch events. It's, you know, you compete, you see all these people in the community, and just to be able to get together and just spend time, it's just so much fun.
Right. The experience is awesome.
Yeah, even the tournaments that I lost, it's just fun to be there. Just
Right.
see.
And compete, basically.
Yeah, it's just fun to be. I used to play a lot of sports growing up, and once I wasn't good enough to play anymore, you miss being a part of like a team and like kind of the camaraderie that comes across with that. So like having video games to take up that was super cool.
And easier to connect with each other. No.
Yeah. And I mean, I had 2 full ACL reconstructions. I could say video games are easier on the body as well. My knees were not in harm's way of getting destroyed.
Oh, they're going Torb again.
I think Dallas might get rolled. Atlanta took point A straight away, and they're playing the comp that's supposed to be weaker. No.
So what's funny
Alright.
is, so they bring in Kai here for Edison, and Kai is the kind of reason this Torbjorn pick came into play, which he says he just picked it in a scrim on accident, and they ended up just beating everybody with it who was playing this. So they decided to play it. If you asked me a year ago if we'd see the offensive Torbjorn rise up, they said no, don't think so. But he's actually sneaky good. For all of the memes of Torb, he gets so tanky. The ultimate, you see, just so good to just deter people from coming in. And then the turret is just annoying to deal with, even at this level.
It's insane against Doomfist. It's absolutely godlike against Doom, or any other kind of flanker. I think the thing is that like it just makes Atlanta really unappetizing to try and dive on, because there's just no hero with less than 250 HP. That's insane.
It's a sick
Torb offense works. It works actually.
Yeah. Because well, offense or defense matters less than the fact that you're playing it in a composition that like wants to play close together and doesn't want to get dived. It's just like a deterrent. It's like trying to hug a cactus.
Right.
Like if they want to engage, but it's like
Torb was one of the first characters we made for the game.
Really?
Yeah.
How in line with his original concept is he now, out of curiosity? How grand of a player
pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty close. I don't know if you guys know our director, Sam Wise. We drew, obviously, Torb first. We had this cool techie style for him, but he didn't feel Blizzard enough. And then so we had Sam take a pass at it. So he took the artwork that the team had already made, and he just kind of did this dwarfy Blizzard pass to Torbjorn, and that's when we started to kind of hone in on like, okay, that's the energy we need out of the characters.
I was gonna say, like, it's got the Magni vibes from.
Yes, right. Right. So it was an interesting collaboration on it, basically.
And even to think about all the iterations he kind of went through gameplay-wise, I remember in the beta where the level 3 turret, you could build a turret up to level 3. He went up to like, I feel like it was like almost like 900 HP with the ultimate. Yeah,
rockets, man.
Rockets, yeah.
And the range was silly on it.
Was like, I remember during the beta playing Torb on like a Hanamura on defense. Oh, you were popping off. So,
and the Torb had the turret had perfect aim. It just
nuked you. Yeah, if you just appear.
You just peek around the corner and it's
just dead. Oh, and you can give the armor packs as well.
Yeah, it all was based on the scrap. So the more kills you got, / the turret, you just pick the scrap up and then just start dishing out armor packs. Okay. This is alright.
Nice.
Dallas bought 4 minutes on that second point, defending it, and it forced Atlanta to match their composition in the end as well. Interestingly enough, Atlanta couldn't play that Orisa style into this. So, all right, there's some hope.
I wonder how many people like even who play the game currently even remember back to like the beta stages of like what some of the characters look like. It would be a hilarious like April Fool's experimental to just bring some of it like Symmetra with the global TP. You could put the TP in the spawn and get out.
Oh yeah.
Bastion had the shield on the turret.
McCree was a railgun. His fan the hammer was like mad accurate, like long range. Just shield down with right click.
Oh, that was so fun though. Like, I mean, not for the tank, but like I remember when you were McCree when the game was like
he didn't really
in beta, and the Rhine would be standing there, and he knew the flash was gonna go over the shield and then just fan him down.
Remember the Torb turrets that were play of the games? It was like the turret gunning people down. Mercy group heal was a pretty powerful.
Man.
I had a buddy who when Overwatch first came out, we would always like 6-stack, and he would always play Mercy. Like It was late night. He'd have a drink or two, and like he's just yelling at the whole team. Everybody die on the cart. Everybody. He's like,
you hide as Mercy, yes, right?
He'd come
So you
out.
can
He'd be doing the
pop out.
360s and just bringing everybody back.
Huge
Oh, it's so, it was
Playing
so
Doom
funny.
here.
No, they have to play the Genji. So yeah, so because they know that Ashe is on the other side, and you can access this high ground, you can't play the Doom. You can't play the Doom into it. The Orisa's not really movable. You need to play the Genji to put a lot of pressure on Kai, because he's the hit scan specialist for Atlanta. His aim is insanely
Yeah,
good.
it's actually ridiculous. That's why Torb is so strange for him. Look at this. The Orisa shield is backwards to get better coverage. I dare say.
Wow.
I think,
Yeah.
obviously, geometrically, I suppose.
But you take so much damage on the way in. Coalescence has to be used, yeah. Oh, who ran this the other day? It made me so angry. Shanghai. They ran this without a Mercy. I was like, why are you playing this?
It was
without
like
the Mercy?
Ana Lucio.
Yeah, the damage boost is so good, and then the res, like if one player
that Holt is insane. That lower cooldown on Holt means Gator can just yoink harm him back like every few seconds.
Yeah. Well, this is also difficult because ooh, that was a sick kill. Dallas can't play anything really but this comp. So like if they're losing to Atlanta on it, that's really good for Atlanta because they know they're not going to switch. Oh, this could be dangerous. You're going to be able to get a
they still don't have hit scan, right? They still don't have a hit scan player.
Pine is still not here.
Yeah, Pine he's available to play. But he's in Korea and he hasn't really practiced with the team, so it's probably a really bad idea to put him in.
Twice, though. So he's definitely a known quantity for Dallas, but
Next tournament, I guess.
Yeah, I would
because
say
John
so.
Spector tweeted the other day that there's now like some specific things in motion that will allow the league to get players there cleared for immigration much quicker. So either some sort of standard or understanding with like USCIS or whatever it is. So now it should hopefully be more of a streamlined process, and these kind of pickups will be much easier to get the player in the server. Basically, there's a Dragon Blade here. It won't be Nano Boost though. And they had to deal with the immortality field, so kind of tough.
I was so surprised when they picked Pine up, though. I mean, we haven't seen Pine since season 2.
Look, I was a little bit dubious on it, and I'll be honest, because Dallas have this mad history of picking up like really popular players that are past their prime. They did it with like
Costa, Costa. That's why he's on the desk.
Yeah.
Costa's on the desk.
AKM was like AKM when they picked him up was not really. I would say he wasn't elite at the time, and he really struggled to show like that caliber on this team. And I feel like,
What? Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my. Yep. There it is.
to be able to go there and have the confidence that you're not going to beef it in this type of game and fall off the map.
Right.
I just think there are so many Genji players who just don't bother playing Genji without Ana because they just feel like they need Dragon Blade to be effective here. And here is a guy using it without Nano Boost against a team that has Batiste's Immortality Field in there, and Mercy can just run away from you. Still just doesn't care. Just gets value from it either way. Oh, Pelican body block. The natural enemy of Doomfist, of course. Anything that stops him.
This is good, though, for Atlanta to be able to just kind of try and get as much time off the clock as possible.
Mhm.
Nah.
I'm
Tell you, baby, this comp, man.
Are you on the Dallas coaching staff or something? Like,
What do you mean? No, I just wanted to win.
But surely this is doable for Atlanta. They barely have
Yeah, immortality.
All right.
And the blade comes out from Sparkle.
2 minutes on the clock. So almost 3 minutes. So it's a good time bang for Dallas. This series is going to be close. This series is going to go a very long time. When I read the chat sometimes, not the play Overwatch chat, you guys are fantastic.
You guys
But
are
sometimes the
chill,
Overwatch League one, I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, there's no stairs there to save the Atlanta Rain. I was like when did stairs ever save a team? I was like, what are they talking about?
3-minute time bank.
I don't know. Are they referring to the fact that they don't have vertical mobility? Oh, you really can't leave anything up to like interpretation if you type it in chat, can you? You probably should make yourself clear. Man, you get to see how love Dallas is the
I'm like
team.
quiet after this.
Oh, you're the stair. Unless Matt, like one of the casters said something about stairs.
Maybe.
People are meaning it. Yeah, it could be that.
I will never figure out the mysteries of chat.
It's an. I actually think it's an anthropological marvel. Chat. Just every time I try and understand it, it's quite an odyssey.
It's sometimes though they have like the funniest copy pastas. Like they're so like they're like so Sideshow, like for whatever reason they just spam the egg emote whenever he comes on.
What do you mean for whatever reason? It's because he shaved his head.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be nice. But then they started calling him Uncle Egg, so whenever he comes on, they just spam eggs. Like I was like, this is just insane.
What do they spam when you come on, man?
Oh, nothing. They all go to bed. They're like, oh man.
I'm telling you. Look at this disengage. Yes.
So Atlanta's in a tough spot here. So they have to match this because if they take this point, they need this comp to take the second point, which is not ideal. Like if there was more time on the clock, they potentially wouldn't run
They're
this.
playing for a full map completion, yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
But you kind of have to. With Volskaya, you're gonna need a good portion of the map.
Oh no! Wait, what? He sound buried after the D suit on Hawk, so that could. Yeah, Hawk could just. Yeah, he's getting juggled right now. Yep, Fearless pops the Diva out of mech and just beelines for her. Even with sound barrier in play, he knows it's actually targeting his kill.
Pelican with 2. You still have, you still have your Moira here. That's a touch. Yeah, no, that's it. So
this is actually going to be a 6 series. Oh my.
Not even a tick there. So not looking good for our Atlanta Reign. Bitch the front runner for the Dallas Fuel here. I bet you were probably
Listen, this is nice. I get to like when I cast, I obviously can't express my opinion about who I want to win. So
you were probably a Golden State Warriors fan. You were a New England Patriots fan, right? Dallas Fuel.
Well, you know, I'm not a Patriots fan.
I was trying to think of who's good in hockey. I think the LA Kings were pretty decent in hockey, right?
I support one of the most heartbreaking teams in the NFL. What are you talking about?
Go Clippers.
Yeah, see? There it is. You got to commit. It makes you feel good when the team's good, you know, to commit through the dark times. I've been waiting a very long time for my New York Football Giants to be good. I don't know if I'll ever see it, but maybe.
Your optimism every season is really endearing.
You know what, though? The one time they will be good, I'll be super happy. They probably won't be that good, to be fair. I mean, they'll be decent, but what are we on now? Dallas will come out.
I need one.
So Dallas is going to switch off of this. So once they find out that they're not going to be running the Ashe, they will most likely swap off of this Genji because they don't mind playing the exact mirror matchup if they if Atlanta wants to go for it. We're still not out of the realm of possibility though that we have a draw here. Yeah. It could be a sneaky draw because
there's nothing like this particularly like safe about Atlanta's comp. All right, they're playing that same sort of, you know, it's predicated on aggression and getting coalescence as early as possible. Look how far ahead Fielder is compared to Iris.
Yeah, and I think also with the way that these compositions play out, the fights are very long. You know, if both teams get coalescence and you start, you know, everybody hoses everybody down, you can stay alive for
Let's go.
This does not look like one of those times. Yeah, they just kind of walk off the point.
It's hard.
Hey,
I think
Atlanta's got a map though.
They were trying to position, I think, as safely as they could for that, but they were trying to hide until they had coalescence, and then they could actually stand out in the open. But yeah, well, that's the way it goes. We've got a proper series on our hands now. I'm telling you, man.
Once the Moira has that beam, it's tough. You're running. Then you quickly get reminded that the shields won't save you from it. It's tough.
So we have a good chance again to do what we call a magenta moment here. While we're in the break, as the Overwatch League Stream On with T-Mobile Fan Connection is presented by T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. And this is a question, thank God, not for me, this one, from Aiden Rekop on Twitter. And he asks, have you guys, I assume he's referring to David and Dion, have you ever considered creating some kind of archives event that involves specifically the Omnic Crisis? Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's
there
a
one?
we had a mini one a while ago that touched on some events in Kings Row.
Yeah,
But
well, that was like when everyone was in there, like Overwatch,
gear, right?
everyone's Overwatch skins came out at the time, right? It was like a flashback.
And I think that was Tracer's first proper mission with the team too, as a young recruit, basically during that period of time.
It's the Cadet Oxen one.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
right. But obviously, we want to share more lore of the game. Basically, that's a big part of that's going on in the sequel, along with the competitive stuff. And especially the Omnic Crisis, I think that's a big part of where some of the elements of the game come from that storyline. It's just we're seeing pockets of it, and so I think we're going to share more at some point, but just not yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great question. But yeah, we definitely want to share more lore based on the Omnic Crisis and Overwatch in general, basically.
Yeah, I'm excited for the lore. Originally I was like, man, this is a multiplayer game. I just want to shoot stuff. And then now it's like we've seen more kind of shorts and animations.
1,400 hours in this world. I better
playing
learn about it.
1,400 hours. Yeah, I'm like, all right, I want to know something now. I'm like, I'm ready for. Yeah, I'm ready to learn.
Part of the idea is when we were working on a map, there's a ton of lore that goes into it. It's just not super presented out. Obviously, we have the comics and the different cinematics that we do, but it's fun to do the art because there's so much story that we have at the office and things. So we want to share. This is
gonna sound like a complete noob moment. I actually, when I was playing Mecha Base the other day, figured out that all of the rooms were like for those people from, I think it was like a Diva comic or short. And then the one room that's open is Diva's room. I always just go in there and I just start beating up all the stuff, but I never actually looked around. And then I was in there. I was like, wait a second. I was like, oh, this is good. There's so much stuff. I played so much of the game, and I still don't know all of the kind of Easter eggs. There's so many cool ones in it.
Yeah, we actually previewed a skin there on one of the computer monitors in Diva's room. We kind of hinted at the skin before we launched her actual skin. Yeah, and people didn't really know.
Oh my God, that's classic. Sometimes people spot stuff. Like, was it that Somber ARG was really quite impressed about like the tenacity of the community to try and to decipher something. But sometimes when you drop something in somewhat plain sight unannounced, people just gloss over it completely.
They miss it, yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I don't know.
It'll be so cool when people find this, and then everyone's just running around oblivious, like, somebody look, somebody open your eyes, get out there, look around.
Well, you can rely on T-Mobile, Aiden Rekop. Thanks for the question. T-Mobile's going to hook you up with a 5G phone and some Overwatch gear. There it is. Thanks for your question. I reckon we have time for another one as well. So this is for all of us, I reckon. It's from Oz David on Twitter. And his question is, what's your favorite owl moment? Who is your favorite, or who is, rather, your favorite Overwatch League player?
Ooh. I'm trying to think, because like the one of the ones that just came to my head was like one of the first World Cup was just like such a cool moment.
Yeah, that was the one we had like the full opening week for.
Yeah, it's like where a lot of like us talent got to meet and work with each other at the first time. A lot of the first time we got to see some of these players in person. I also think it was just cool to have I love World Cup, just having all the countries represented and everybody kind of coming together. Not exactly an owl moment, but if I had to pick an owl moment, I would say probably the year 2 final. Although it's a blowout, I just don't think there's anything that compares to like having a ton of fans in a building and everybody going crazy over Overwatch.
Yeah,
And
that Wells Fargo Center was
yeah,
unreal.
it just kind of brings everything like, I mean, how I talked about in the last one, like I remember playing games in like hotel ballrooms and stuff, and then seeing a full stadium full of people for it. Just kind of, it's super cool. So I would probably say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite one was the Philadelphia finals. The where we had I forgot the DJ's name, but he brought on an artist that he was working with, and we had like a mini concert.
Oh,
and I thought that was kind of special.
Oh, right,
Zed. And oh, interesting. For both finals, I actually got a chance to like catch the parachute prizes that fall from the ceiling.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty lucky.
It's like our esports version of a bouquet, you know what I mean? I don't know what it's supposed to mean, but
Yeah. That's cool though.
great.
Yeah.
It's there have been so many like sick moments. Just like, even like the opening of like Blizzard Arena that we had like our own standalone place for Owl. I think we did one of the times like it was like a screen takeover, and it was one of the in-game events I think we showed off there for the first time. Just a lot of cool stuff that went on there, and even the virtual set you see for this year is really kind of based off of the Blizzard Arena. Like the screen and everything looks looks similar.
We're gonna head in. We can keep talking about this, but before we jump back in, I just want to say T-Mobile has got you covered. Oz David, thanks for the question. You also will be receiving from T-Mobile a 5G phone and some Overwatch gear. So congrats and thank you very much for sending your question. Yeah,
that's
man,
so
these
cool.
phones going out the door, man. This is wild. Big shout out to T-Mobile for making this happen. And I don't even know if Oz David knew that when he submitted his question. But now you know, baby.
Yeah, they gotta save some of those phones for us.
Do they really?
Submitted a question.
Yeah, trying to put us on. Yeah, Dion could have submitted a question, and yeah, we all should have got together.
Do we get phones if we submit a question?
Yeah, on our burner Twitters, be like, hey.
Oh, that's actually a goated strat. I didn't even think about that. Unlucky. Anyway, speaking of strats, Matt, it's Numbani time, baby.
So
we actually saw Atlanta play Torb on this map.
Well, okay, so this is actually really interesting. Atlanta actually subs Kai out and puts Edison in. So Edison, he was Atlanta's like big star pickup last year, and he was really good, but he's kind of like fallen out of the lineup a little bit this year. But what's interesting about this decision is that they play Edison. They want to play this Winston-based composition. They want to rely on him
because they have Edison
on the Reaper. Yes,
kind of a giveaway.
Yeah, but that's also it also I think speaks to how strong Atlanta feel they can be in this like mirror matchup, that they're not going to shy away from it.
Okay, so the reason why like Dallas is so favored in this comp, because they played Dallas have had a couple of series where it has been like not only just their scrims but just this composition. They beat they lost to San Francisco actually, and they beat the Mayhem Florida, who just played this style. So Dallas have like more experience than anyone at the June Joust for playing this like the mirror composition in this matchup against like some of the best teams. So it's like they kind of know the ins and outs of it by now, whereas Atlanta have been sort of, you know, neither here nor there, and they've kind of been dabbling a bunch with the Orisa stuff. So
I always get so happy seeing Fearless and seeing Fearless do well. Season 1, he was picked up halfway through for the 0-40 Shanghai Dragons, and
he just popped L's every week.
I mean, yep. You know, 0-40 is tough to do, but they did it. And to see like him as a player, and he goes back into contenders and then comes back like, you know, last year was like dominant with Shanghai, and now with Dallas. I just like seeing players who kind of go through some of those.
Yeah, he's probably the best in the world now. It is
tougher times. Yeah, because it's so stressful for a lot of these players. You know, it's a lot of pressure. So many fans, people watching. You know, obviously, you're representing a city as well. To see them kind of, it's always good to have you know, each individual have, you know, one big, you know, pop off moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no! Fielder didn't get the sound barrier. I think he was inside the side room.
Nice.
Oh.
My dog just opened up the door. He wants to come watch, but he always starts to go towards the wires, which is not the best spot to go towards. Yeah. So Atlanta get a stop. This is huge because this is usually a speed run on Numbani. Like once you get point A, you go all the way through here, and you take that second checkpoint pretty quick.
I thought that was 100% going towards the fuel there.
Yes, I think it's got a lot to do with the walk back distance from spawn for defenders, but we so often see this like get snowballed through by attackers. In the league.
Want to come say hello. I think maybe the vacuum's coming out, and he wants to take a little nap in here. Or the vacuum comes out, but
oh, yeah, my cat's hate the vacuum.
If Atlanta gets a hold here, though, this is really good. Even just burn some time. It is so difficult to complete the map, but you can usually set a really good time here. Yeah, this is nice.
Well, yeah, it's actually tough to get any value with Death Blossom because there's like 4 divas on the map at any time. So
yeah,
like so often, like Reaper just gets a defense matrix stuck in his face when he's trying to ult. Especially when at that time Sparkle was also divas. The 2 divas, he still gets a kill. Was wild.
I love you can tell the evolution of the player base when like the Reaper ultimate at the beginning of the game was like the most unstoppable thing ever, where you would just get Reaper 6Ks, and then now it's like as soon as the Reaper ultimate comes, everybody's brain is just trained to like defense matrix stun, knock him out. Like,
yeah.
It's like I was about to say something. I was like, oh yeah, they should just give Reaper Fortify when he uses that, but that would be a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, I love damage reduction during channeled ultimates, Matt. That sounds great.
He would be the strongest hero in the game. He would just he would be impossible to kill him out.
You're constantly searching for him.
Yeah. Or oh man, this is a throwback. Remember when you could collect the souls? Collect the souls.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's so funny to think back.
He disappeared for a while, and then he's getting ready for the ultimate drop.
Yeah, it was like the damage version of the Mercy disappearing.
Yes,
like,
right. Where's Mercy and where's Reaper?
Yeah, Masa, I think, beat it a little bit early. I think what they were relying on is using the beat and getting in there and picking up some kind of kill, but still, getting this to a minute, though, is massive. Like, think about where we were, just a few minutes ago, where they had 5 minutes plus on the clock, and to get that down to a minute, I think sometimes it's really easy to look at the game and get caught up in, like, oh my god, they got the second objective, but, like, just getting 3 minutes off the clock there now puts us in a situation where you win 2 fights here, maybe 3, and you hold them from completing the map. Like, that's a big win for Atlanta in terms of where they were at. So that's a Reaper die that gets knocked into right back into his team.
Nice.
Uh-oh. TP.
Oh, great. Nice.
Yeah, they back him up. This is such a difficult part of the map to get through, and I like what Atlanta does here is originally Dallas, they used some of those ultimates to try and push around this corner, because this corner is like the most devastating one, but Atlanta recognizes it and they push past it. So like it's going to be so costly for Dallas to get through here. And that's kind of the name of the game at this point of it is you take the fights really close to force them to use the ultimates to get the cart going, and you don't exactly have to use everything. You have
the bombs.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. As you have the advantage of having the backstop of the map complete and the spawn right here, so they can come out and you'll have a primal rage, and
they have no support ultimates though. They used them both and still lost the fight.
Yeah, the sound barrier for Jexel, he uses so early though, because now you can just primal, and you have a duplicate, so you're fine here if you're Atlanta. That's
tell you why he did that. Doha was too far away to get it as well. He didn't get it. Oh no.
The only thing I can think of is that Dallas may have like misread things a little bit and thought that Atlanta could have had a beat or something back in response. So you use it to get the other teams out, and then you come back. But yeah, they're not really close.
That bomb is unbelievable. Yeah, just a bit further, and that would have been like a 3K. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I'm saying about Pelican. He has the highest number of duplication kills. Look, he gets another bomb, and that should persist, right? Yep.
Yeah, last 3 seconds after. Oh, gets a kill on a Sparkle. This will be pretty big. It's both teams end up burning.
Over?
It's gonna. You're gonna be happy. I think we're gonna see probably a sound barrier here, keep everybody alive through this. Unless Atlanta beefs this, you know, you're looking pretty good, but you never know with the Dallas Fuel. They can always turn it.
I like this from Fielder. So he actually forced Edison to Wraith Walk there to get back to his team. So now, like, you know, you can just do this. You can dive the Reaper. If you get enough people dive the Reaper, you can kill him there. I think Sparker was the only one who was on the side lane. So. Yeah.
Oh no.
I still don't think this is bad though for Atlanta. There's no time on the clock, so at least you got it to 0.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think it's a big ask to get Dallas to hold here for sure. Although against Shanghai, they held on first.
These teams are so evenly matched. I do think as the series goes on though, you start to worry about like what I was talking about earlier is like Atlanta's never had these big moments like championship game, like final map, like you know, Dallas has been there before. Atlanta has always been a team that, you know, they'll destroy the Titans and then, you know, lose to, you know, one of the top teams. But yeah, I mean,
Here comes the wrecking ball,
so
by the
big
way.
though. No,
I feel it.
they're not going to say wrecking ball. No, I mean, could you imagine if somebody just pulled out the wrecking ball 76 here? I would get on the plane to Hawaii. I'd be like, Pelican, what are you doing? I'd be like, well, I always, you know, I watch a lot of traditional sports, and I always hate when a team makes it to like a big moment, and then they just change up the strategy of like what got them there. So like that's why I almost like I hate when teams even in the league like they'll get to a certain point playing a certain composition, and then they'll just change it up like right at the end to try and like fit in or match. Where it's like, if you're gonna go down the way that got you there. Don't go down playing something that you're not the best at. But Atlanta surprised me because they are not supposed to be like as competitive playing this against Dallas, which
I just think that Dallas was just supposed to be the very best at this comp. So I mean, we knew that Atlanta had played this a bunch. They did it on control. They obviously they won that control match. We know they can do it. It's just it's kind of wild that they're able to do both styles so well, like the Orisa style and this style. Whereas most teams can only commit to one. Like Dallas can only do the one.
I also think it's you know, the last tournament we actually didn't see the two teams who were in Hawaii play against each other.
Yeah,
I would
exactly,
I'd love to know like how close they are in the building, and then also like, you know, they stay in the same hotel. Could be a little awkward going back.
Classrooms, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That is so. I think that's something so cool as well. This is big for Atlanta, being able to take the point this fast. Seeing more colleges get into esports is super cool.
Yeah.
You know, just them having this program and seeing a lot of the students, even like on Twitter, like they're so thrilled to see like the Overwatch League come through, but then also like, oh, like get to see like their favorite players in person, like taking pictures with them. Like, me and Mitch did an event in Harrisburg a few years ago. Yeah, so many like Overwatch and
yeah, I think the esports player base is going to explode when these people come out of high school as well. Like, there's going to be way. We're going to take an early fight here, by the way. Dallas are.
Yeah,
they're going to try and actually spawn camp, I think, if they can win this fight.
Yep.
And Addison is in Timbuktu right now.
Yeah, if you allow Atlanta to just keep the card going.
Atlanta in deep trouble here.
Well, I mean, yeah, this doesn't look very good. So Dallas wins this fight, holds on the sound barrier, and gets Coalescence, and you've used everything for Atlanta. So you're looking at like a fight or two that's we used to call them junk fights, where you're just throwing yourself at the other team. Hopefully they use these ultimates, and then you're good to go and attack again. So these fights are so hard to win.
But they don't have those, like you said, they don't have those support ults, so they actually probably.
Well, they just dip to the spawn, right? Just go back to the spawn now. This will be the opportunity where see what Pelican decides to do. So he's gonna, yep, here we go. He's gonna duplicate the Diva over the top. That is so interesting. So he actually launches this self-destruct back towards his team to prevent Dallas to run forward with the sound barrier, because Dallas wants to just use sound barrier and just chase people down, but they can't because of that self-destruct. So they end up using the sound barrier and just kind of sitting there because they don't want to run into the self-destruct. Is the decisions some of the players make on the fly are like so fast, and like I'm always so jealous they play in such a coordinated environment. I'm like, like trying to get my teammates, my fellow casters to coordinate anything like this is tough.
That's obscene that you would say that. I just
it's
can't
tough
believe
to get them to coordinate. You know?
Oh my! We have a little series we do every. I mean, you can find this out for yourself. We have a little series we do this every fortnight called Casters to Masters. The operative term being that we're never going to.
We're going backwards.
We play ranked with each other, and it gets streamed with a delay because otherwise we get stream sniped by GMs. It's a thing. But
are you guys mostly platinum?
Yeah, I nowadays I am, since I had a kid.
Yeah, I'm
diamond,
yeah, I'm diamond. My DPS is now close to 3600, just because I've been playing so much to try and get back. Season like 6-7 I got to like 3900. That was like my peak.
I think I picked 36.
But then everybody else figured out how to play, so I've just been on a downturn since then.
People got so much better. Yeah, as a master player now, decidedly plat. I am 100% plat now because the player base has improved so much, and I didn't.
I think that's awesome. Like to see the entire player base just level up.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell it when you play the game. It's like people are just way more aware of certain situations, and I remember I always used to be like trying to figure out like what hero to change to make things work, and like everybody is so so good now. It's cool to see though. That's his second self-destruct of the fight, but that's a big Death Blossom from Doha. Yeah, they'll get a hold. Yeah, that Pelican's still here trying to 1v3, but it's crazy to even get to 1.
I can't believe this is kind of wild. This is happening. A minute left in the round, and the Rain are getting. We talked about this part being a snowbally part of the map, and Dallas won like 3 or 4 fights.
Well, look, realistically, Dallas will probably lose this next fight. You know, sound barrier, self-destruct.
It's like you said, it's like buying like a minute or 2 here is huge.
Yeah, exactly. But like now, as we move forward, Dallas will have an ultimate advantage, and they'll have the clock on their side.
Atlanta is spending so much. They have spending so much.
They have to. But this is great though for Dallas. They used just Primal Rage there. They traded Primal Rage for Atlanta's Death Blossom, Sound Barrier, Self-Destruct, and Primal Rage. You'll take that trade every time, but you're gonna have a kill come through here where Pelican takes out Sparkle. So that's actually massive because that positioning where Atlanta played on that front corner, you're not going to be able to play that as easy without your Echo. It's like the largest, it's the largest source of your damage, so you're gonna have to be a little bit more defensive here. This is really good. I mean, just that one kill changes so much on the map.
It's not enough yet, though. Just because watch, they're going to group. They have sound barrier here. I think there's a stall from Fielder, and this could go on for a while. Sound barrier is super big here.
So I mean, all Dallas wants to do is make sure they don't finish with time. That's big. So you kind of look like
you have to
what?
win another full fight, and Atlanta spent so much getting there that they now it's really uncertain whether they win the map at all. Or finish the
Well,
map at all.
yeah, I mean it's tough because you're not close to a coalescence. You're not close to a beat.
The duplicator is a long way away as well.
Right. So you're relying on a good self-destruct here, and a Death Blossom. So you can maybe like use the self-destruct to force people in towards the Death Blossom, or at least try and get the D.Va away from it.
One fight, all they have. So yeah, I mean this could end up being a 3-3 scenario, but I don't think so. Yeah, they're walking the coalescence here. Iris needs to build his coal really quickly because Edison had to fade away defensively now. This is a problem. Oh, I said I hate being right, but not that much. Actually, sometimes.
This is brutal for Atlanta.
Big spawn
Maybe.
disadvantage. Fearless is on record. You know it's over. Yeah, it's the final boss right there.
Tell you what though, to lose something like this where you lost you lost your Lucio right at the start who had sound barrier, that's tough.
Oh man.
But you see though, like this series is a kill or two on each map away from being, you know, a 3-0 for one of the teams, or going like a game 5 or something like.
We might have an instant classic on our hands here if this keeps up.
Yeah, because you know these teams match up again in the final. That's what, it's a best of 7, right?
Yeah, it's a best of 7 where I think like Atlanta being better on control might be super relevant as well.
I actually forgot how long those series are. I just know when we cast them, they just seem to go forever, and then eventually.
Wouldn't we get a 7? No, it was a 5-map series. The final last one.
And eventually, like, somebody comes on here, like, they're a map away, and it's like, because you're so focused on the moment, you're just kind of like, wait, where are we in the series?
Well, here it is. We have another break, so it's our mugs on the screen here in the 4-box. The Overwatch League Stream On with T-Mobile fan connections coming up, and that's presented by, of course, T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. We have still a few more questions to get through here, and this is an interesting one from Dalvenia on Twitter, more of a discussion prompt. What would it take for Farah to see more playtime in Overwatch League games outside of Chengdu games? Because obviously Chengdu we're still trying to make that work, but other teams not opting for the Farah so much. Matt, I'm sure this is something that we've probably spoken about at some point.
Yeah. I think if she was able to stay in the air a little bit longer, I think that was changed a few patches ago because like they gave her the splash damage back, right. Which I think is good because the splash damage allows her to like break up groups clumped together. And then I don't know, because the thing is like Farah is great, but she's also reliant on, you know, a Mercy or an Ana to be able to heal her. So like you're really at the mercy of like if one of you're really at the, you know, if one of them is like meta or playable. I actually think she's in a pretty good spot, to be honest, and I think that she has like a really good niche, and she has points and maps that she's really effective on. Like first point in Bonnie, like we just saw there, she's really good on. Lijiang Tower, she has some good points. And we've seen her being played on, you know, like a King's Row. First point is like a pocket niche pick. I think it's really difficult to have a situation where, you know, a hero is a must pick in every spot. And I think that's what's been awesome that you've seen about the league this year is that the maps have really dictated what gets played a lot of the time, to where you know, we've seen more Symmetra this year than ever before because, you know, teams have found effective ways to use her on certain points. So I think maybe just allowing Farah to stay in the sky a little bit longer, I think, you know, makes her even stronger in those situations where she's already pretty good. I think it's difficult though to make her like a mainstay.
Well, I think the question is just to see more playtime. I also think it probably has a fair bit to do with the fact that Farah's damage comes in chip damage essentially, and this is, I guess, the reason why Echo is preferable to her run, not just the ultimate, but also the fact that Echo has his burst damage that tends to just not care about that the healing over time that you get from like a Moira Lucio setup. Farah has to be super aggressive to like secure those kills before they get healed up, and they just feed coalescence charge to the enemy Moira. So
Farah
got
is
not-
one of my
yeah.
favorite characters to play, though. Like there's
Mine too.
there's almost nothing better than when you play Farah and the other team is forced to go like McCree N76 because you know they can't stop you, but you're still just kind of like taking them out. She can be one of the most, like, even now you're like, well, like, if she's not played at the Overwatch League level, which is true. I think that also speaks to the level of like hit scan players at the Overwatch League level. But if you go play ladder and you have a good duo who can play support and help you out, a Farah Mercy duo that knows how to play that is devastating for teams to play against, even in her kind of current state.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that just bringing hit scan is enough to help you deal with her a little bit more. But there you have it. T-Mobile has you covered, Dalvenia. Thanks for the question. T-Mobile's going to hook you up with a 5G phone and Overwatch gear. This is a more general question here that comes from at this guy 3496.
Is that?
Yeah, this
That's
guy
incredible.
3496. The question is, what's your favorite pizza topping? Okay, let's broaden it to what is like collection of toppings, right? What's your favorite kind of pizza? Here we go, Matt. You were talking the other night the other day on our Twitter space, I think, about this.
Yeah, I was talking the other day on Twitter Spaces about this.
And then you go first.
I'm a pizza connoisseur. So, I think you get regular crust. I go with peppers, mushrooms, sausage, and pepperoni.
Oh, I like the mushroom.
That's a lot of meat.
That is a lot of meat. Yeah.
It is. It would be accurate.
That might give me.
I like the just like the plain cheese, because that's how you know if a pizza place is good. New York cheese pizza.
Yep.
Yeah.
They say the toughest part about moving to LA has been the pizza. It is.
I know.
I've been doing no cheese pizzas lately.
Oh yeah?
Really?
Yeah, so you go to a place and say no cheese and a little bit of extra tomato sauce with the veggies or whatever other toppings, but it's actually pretty good to try it this way sometimes.
That's what I love, the idea of like just assessing the quality of the pizza by just removing all the distractions. I used to love you could get like I think this is a thing, but in Australia I used to get this like lamb gyros pizza, which is like tzatziki and lamb and like all the stuff you'd get on like one of them Greek gyroses. But I love a Hawaiian. I'll eat Hawaiian pizza any day of the week. That's probably my favorite. You know what I mean?
Sideshow has tuna and garlic pizza. It is.
Wow.
Is he just trying to be repulsive?
It is offensive to everybody who's eating pizza. He says it's a thing in the UK. I actually am surprised that places serve it to him. Like I've never.
Because he's like a walking hazard.
I worked in when I was in like high school, I worked at a pizza place and we did not have any tuna there. There was no tuna at a New York pizza place. I also want to give a shout out. A good buffalo pie. Good buffalo pie is good.
What is that?
So you get the buffalo chicken and you have the cheese, but then you also add a layer of hot melted blue cheese on top of it, and it's so good.
You know, as an Australian, I thought that you guys actually had buffalo meat. Like I thought that's what it was. It was like buffalo. I don't know why I thought buffalo wings, but I'm like, what is that? Like a buffalo leg? Do American people just like grab them and eat them like that? So people, it's confusing. People don't know like that aren't from the United States. I don't know about that. Listen, whatever. I'm incriminating myself now. Anyway, T-Mobile has got you covered. This guy 3496. Thanks for the question. It's definitely prompted some scintillating discussion. T-Mobile is going to hook you as well up with a 5G phone and Overwatch gear. Thank you very much, T-Mobile. I mean,
you'll be able to use 5G to get you a buffalo pizza. Try it out.
Yeah. So you guys
scared.
you don't need a buffalo at all, right? It's not a thing that people eat, right?
I mean, maybe. I have no clue. Yeah.
I think it's probably possible, but
yeah, it sounds like it would be doable, but I've never partaken in it. Yeah.
You guys do like venison and stuff like that. We eat kangaroo, so like it's not out of the realm of possibility. You know what I mean? Like if we eat kangaroo, we expect people to eat all sorts of, animals.
I stick to the basics, the pizzas, the pastas, chicken,
You're
you know,
Italian, that's
the
why, man.
burger. Yeah, it's actually super funny. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna, quarantine. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start, doing a little bit more exercise. Like, the other day, I was like, Chelsea, I was just ordering dinner. I was like, how bad is a burger? She's like, well, you should stay away from that. I was like, oh man, it's like, come on.
How bad is a burger?
Yeah. I was like, let me just have a burger.
Listen,
The
mate,
issue
it
is,
depends on what you've eaten so far that day. That's all.
Yeah, right.
yeah, but you know what
Protein
though,
style.
yeah,
Protein style.
Anyway, we got a
yeah.
game on, so let's jump in. The Overwatch League Stream On or T-Mobile Fan Connection was presented by T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Thanks again for that. And we can jump in now to the match. Speaking of Italy, Matt, we got
Now I want
some
a
Rialto
pizza.
action here.
The mental game is
Yeah, me too, kind of. But I had one last night, actually, so no. I'm supposed to be on a diet. I'm actually supposed to be on a diet, so no. I'll only feed on good Overwatch, Matt.
Yeah,
That's it.
the tough part about a good pizza is you just don't really kind of pay attention to how many slices you're having. Like as long as it's hot, like it just starts flowing. You know, they keep Edison in.
Yeah, they want to play. I think they've realized, Matt, that the comp that uses Kai is not going to work against Dallas. That's a pretty devastating thing to come to terms with midway through a series.
You played Kai all stage, and this is a map where we've seen them play Kai on like a Widowmaker, where Widowmaker can be really effective on Rialto, especially because there's so many sight lines,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many sight lines that when the cart gets close to getting over the line, that you can play really defensive and get a lot of good visibility. But Atlanta wins this first fight. This series has a game 5 written all over it. It would, like, maybe Dallas ends up winning this one, and Mitch is unfortunately correct, but I kind of want to see another game.
I mean, maybe you remember this map, but I'm pretty sure when Atlanta play this map, they don't play this composition normally. Like, they always play double shield on this map. So, yeah, this is the map they play a ton of, but never with this composition.
No.
Wild.
I think, though, it's a little bit of, like, if you're Dallas, you're a little bit surprised that Atlanta's playing this. But it's also a little bit of a victory at the same time. Because you basically gotten Atlanta to concede, like, we can't beat you playing that way, we have to play this way. So it does give
for me too, then, right? Because
it's a victory for you as well, right? Yep. Yeah, as a big Dallas Fuel fan as of 40 minutes ago, but it is a small victory for Dallas, knowing that, hey, this comp and the way we play it's so good, they feel like they can't beat it with what they've got here with, which puts Atlanta on the back foot, which makes them play this on a map where they normally don't.
But they probably against any other team, they probably don't have to do this. It's not just the comp, it's how good Dallas are at using it, right? Because plenty of teams use the comp and look bad.
These fights are just crazy. A double bomb here for Sparkle, and then that's Edison with a double Death Blossom going the other way into self-destruct. These fights are so close. Like, it's actually insane. Like, they're coming down to like little 1v1 type of scenarios, and I think right there, actually, Jexay dies during sound barrier. I'm not actually sure if anyone from Dallas.
Not again, really. He's
that.
becoming known for that. He's becoming known for just dying tragically when he has.
That's unfortunate.
It's not what you want to be known for. What's your claim to fame? Dying tragically at moments where I shouldn't.
I don't want to lie to you. We have a bingo card. League made up a bingo card here for the doing Joust, and one of them is Jexa dies with bead.
That's going to be moving forwards.
Sheesh.
When we make this map, we always hope the gondola ride would be some crazy flank route.
I've actually seen some insane. I think you know who it was. It was actually XQC that I watched do this. He used the gondola to stay alive in the most unrealistic of situations on this part of the map. He was using Winston's primal rage and jumping about, and you think he's about to die, and then he just lands on the gondola, sails on the thing. His cooldown comes up, and then he jumps away to his team. He just and he survived as a result. It's so ridiculous.
There's a lot of accidental saves by the gondola.
Crazy.
This map, I feel like You know, with all the maps that we have in like Overwatch, I feel like Rialto is like a little bit underrated. Like this, I love this map, and it for me it almost feels like the King's Row of Escort in a way. Like it feels
wow.
very much like that.
I'm always happy to see it for sure.
Yeah, I love seeing Rialto play. Like it's one of the better maps I think overall in the game. I love like the way the first point like is it's pretty tough to get through. I think all of the phases of this map honestly are really tough on
For
offense.
attackers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is now like this is a multi-stage choke with like high ground for defenders all around it. So it's interesting to see how attackers try and like fight here, for example, in the bridge to get access. I think if you play from the high ground effectively here, it's really hard to break for sure. Look at Felix. Look at how he, by the way, like jerks his head. Like every part of his body physically is involved in what he's doing.
He like is Winston, like moving
like,
with the camera.
Like something comes.
Dude, we've all been there, bro. Don't even you
Yeah.
can't even slam him on that. Like, dude, sometimes like you flinch or you're like dodging shots with your head. We've all been there.
I have the weirdest faces while I'm playing games. Licking lips and,
Yeah, like I'm like so focused on the screen, like I look crazy. And what I also think is super cool about Rialto is like we've over time. That's a huge first kill. I don't know what Doha's doing up there, but we have seen you can play so many different things on this map. You can play this type of style. You can play, Widowmaker. You can play Ashe. This is one where you can actually play Pharah on and go like over the buildings and
have plenty of cover too.
Yeah, we've seen Sombra on this map, Hanzo. Like, there's so many different heroes you can play on this map to be effective. If Atlanta gets a hold here, this would be huge. That would be a very winnable situation for the Atlanta Reign.
I mean, they played really well on defense this whole map, to be honest.
As I say that, though, that is a death blow. There is everybody from Atlanta on the ground. Though, it's still not bad. A minute 34 on the clock, and this is one of. I was just trying to think off the top of my head. Is there a harder thing to get through than this Rialto at the end? I don't know.
Hanamura, maybe?
Maybe Hanamura.
Just because it's open.
Hanamura first point can be tough.
I mean, Horizon B was obviously pretty brutal as well. Just because defenders by default get access to really powerful high ground.
I think what separates this from like a Hanamura first or something like that is the amount of time you have to do it. Because this is at the end of the map, like you're usually down to 2 minutes, a minute. To be able to get through this in like a minute 30 is so tough.
You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, Dallas losing the fight there it's pretty doomed for them.
Hugo's trying to climb on my desk.
I love someone in the chat. Incredible. There needs to be more NYXL fans. I mean, what he doesn't realize is that most of the NYXL fans are also being critical of their team in the chat. You just can't tell, you see. But they're actually New York fans.
Oh. They also were they had a lot of fans season 1.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
See that? He saw Defense Matrix, he Wraith Walked, then Defense Matrix ran out, and then he popped out of Wraith Walk and instantly ulted.
Yeah, and you also have Sparkle, like duplicating a Reaper, which, there's only so much Defense Matrix. You can't Defense Matrix 2 Death Blossoms.
4 seconds? 4 seconds in total? Yeah. But with a duplicated Diva, it's 8 seconds DM. Say goodbye to your Death Blossom.
Atlanta, though, you have a Primal Rage. You're gonna have a Coalescence here. You should be able to hold this. This is where Dallas's like championship experience comes into play. These like end of map situations.
You really need to finish the map if you're here though. At this point for Dallas, I mean, they didn't on. Well, they did on Nambani, I guess, but
no, I think the only thing you run into is like you don't have any options if you're. Well, I mean, you do have options. Like Edison can play other stuff. We just haven't seen it in a long time. This is where like Kai would pull out like a pocket Hanzo pick, right? You can go up to the high ground and get one early or something like that. Not having that may hurt them a bit.
All
right, Atlanta gets some hold.
Nice.
Wow.
It's over.
So
almost.
This is this. I mean, I remember the Atlanta Reign beating San Francisco last year's playoffs on this map. It was like one of the craziest moments. It was like a round win because Sigma used Gravitic Flux and pulled everyone off the cart during overtime. And they just
wow, yeah.
Oh,
it was no Troy. No, wait, it was Troy Coben was stalling and he Gravitic Flux and floated up above the cart. And they that's what made it. And yeah. Not quite as epic, but pretty ridiculous moment. It sent San Francisco down to the lower bracket. It was like the decider map.
It's whenever you see things like that, I always love when they show us the player cams, because just like how here Joke and Dion, we're so in the moment when we play, they are even deeper in the moment.
Right.
And then they realize somebody stepped off the cart, and it's like a total like, wait, what happened? Like like time just stops.
Right. All the face expressions change.
Yeah, it's yeah, we've all been there before.
You guys have any predictions for the lower bracket? Shanghai or New York?
So I actually think that might be closer than people think. Like New York has been an odd team. They weren't like kind of predicted to be here, but
I think they got here from an upset victory. Personally.
Yes, they did. But New York was able to play a lot of different things the other day that I think could bother Shanghai. If it could be close, I think you still have to kind of give Shanghai the edge just because of how strong of a team they've been in the past. But them and Dallas are the only team to make it to the finals here 2 tournaments in a row. So I think you do have to give some credit to Shanghai.
Yeah.
I also kind of
player on that team is unreal.
I also view this year for New York is like not like you're not necessarily expected to win. Like it's a roster that's been completely rebuilt with like really young players and talent.
Yeah, except for that tank,
yeah, well, they're kind of more focused on the future, where you have Jonak, but to see them already being able to cause an upset and get to this type of moment, I think that's a good sign for the future. Once these players can
as early as next year, they can actually be like a dominant team.
Yeah.
But this is actually looking kind of bad for the Reign. See, because this comp is so powerful, defenders end up using Winston here instead of like trying to do anything with the sort of narrowness of the choke with like a shield tank, especially as Ryan is not available to play right now. But even when Ryan was available to play, a lot of teams wanted to play Winston defenses on this map because obviously you just drop down and then you can just jump back up and you can get that healing. So I think Dallas are one of the scariest teams to play this style.
I didn't think Fearless was going to make it through this window right there. When he just jumped through, I saw him hit that. I was like, I have hit that numerous times and not landed on anything but going down into the water after that. So,
as it is, completely wasted ultimate. Absolutely.
See if it. This would be heartbreaking for Atlanta, though. I don't want to see them.
It just sends them to the lower bracket, though. So it is double elimination. What a crucial first kill. Iris has 2 kills with the Coalescence.
Dude,
Doha's rage is not over. It's not over.
Doha's been so good on Reaper, though. I feel like he's gotten so many big kills with Death Blossom.
Yes, super not over with the respawn here. Pelican back, yeah. Wow. Gator uses Primal Rage there, buys a ton of time, it keeps the fuel on their toes, and obviously you have respawn advantage.
Wow, Pelican.
Pelican is...
Dude, the Echo versus Echo stuff is insane because that matchup's so volatile because you're dead before you realize it. If the enemy Echo gets sticky bombs on you and just hits E, you vaporize. So it's like this incredibly high. Look at this again. He goes for it. Like it's this incredibly high skill, really volatile, very fast-paced matchup between the two Echoes, and you have to see the other Echo coming, because if you don't, you just get assassinated.
Yeah.
And sometimes they actually use the duplicate on the Reaper. It's just in these like close quarter situations, like using on the Reaper is just it does so much as Pelican ends up. What?
40 seconds left.
How did that?
Kidding me?
I got
Wow.
two. Oh, I mean, this is
It's a
There's
Lucio.
so many options there.
yeah. It's so many win conditions, but that one. They just stood there next to the bomb and just exploded.
That's why casting these fights sometimes is so hard, because obviously we got over the fact that we have to call duplications, and we finally figured that out. But then the ultimates, thank God they changed the voice line to sound a little bit more like robotic, so we could tell that it was a duplicated ultimate being used and not like a organic one.
Right.
But that, like, for us, like, to process that information as we cast is tough, knowing where. I think Atlantic wins fight, but knowing where it comes from is tough.
Yeah, they get it over the line.
Yeah.
Dallas just doesn't fight it, which is super interesting. Is
Crazy.
That's Cloud9.
yeah, it allows Atlanta to still stay in the game. It should give Atlanta some confidence here, because they do have some ultimates, and now because Dallas dies so late, you see Atlanta, everybody kind of rushing up to that high ground.
Can they take the high ground? No, not really.
They can. It looks
Not
like
off
they
the
just kind of
rings,
get.
yeah.
They get knocked off of it. It looks like.
Another duplicated Diva here. What's Pelican doing? Oh, the fuel time is so interestingly. They have to play around this bomb though.
Yeah, you
Fearless.
get it through. You get it through here though, and you're looking good for Atlanta.
I don't understand how they sound barrier and still lose Fearless. It must have missed him.
Yeah, and I think he dies right before it. But I mean, now you lose Hanbin's mech. You have both support ults here too for Atlanta. You could do this.
Yeah, Atlanta should win this fight. Should. Fearless
I
is
mean,
prime
that's
ranking.
always the key
There's a
word.
body of
Should.
water here as
Yeah.
well. Oh no! The Moira can't fade while she's coalescing, so it's super dangerous here next to the water against Winston.
I thought he was gonna knock her into the water. I thought we were gonna see her go into the drink.
I think Fearless had in one series, one map? No,
The series, he had like
16 Primal Rage kills.
yeah. And you notice whenever Doha has the Death Blossom, we talk about like the defensive defense matrix, but you see Hanbin just holding the defense matrix over Doha, so no damage can come
I'm
through.
calling it now. It's gonna be a hold. I don't think the Rain are gonna get this next checkpoint.
Nah.
At some point,
Yeah, what do you say?
at some point during our test, that area there, at right now with the boats, that used to be open. There wasn't a wall there.
Oh,
It was a mess. It was
Yeah, I can imagine.
just like we wanted to view like an art versus design thing.
Yeah, of course.
that
Yeah.
would have been pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That would have been like a 5K for Fearless in that situation.
yes, right.
Yeah, you would have, dude. You would have had so many clips though. That would have been
Yeah.
pretty crazy to see. Atlanta's gonna get this going.
I don't think they're gonna get it. They can. The Phil can stall this. Harmer's getting his mech back as well. I'm telling you. Look at how low Gator is. He's so low. Oh,
Oh, they got him.
yeah.
But you have sound barrier here though. I mean, look at how good Fearless is with Primal
Yeah.
Rage. I mean,
Iris couldn't touch the ground. Couldn't get healing. And couldn't get sound barrier. What happened there?
oh,
I think sound barrier got interrupted. Maybe.
It's over.
and he flies too far away. Damn.
GG.
That is as close of a game though as you like. The score line is 3-0, 3-1. But like, look at each of those map scores, like 2-1, 3-2, 3-2,
so close,
2-1.
man.
Like, that's about as close of like a 3-1 series as you could get.
But it's Dallas Fuel defending with this Winston comp, like this risky, like brawly composition that they win. They defend on maps that are sometimes hard to defend on. That's kind of wild.
Well, I think Atlanta, the real test now for them is, they'll play again today. They'll play later at night, the game that we cast against the winner of New York, Shanghai. So how do you
Oh.
bounce back from a loss like this in that short amount of time? Because they'll have like an hour or so to watch the next game and then get right back out there. So
I
uh,
mean,
yeah, you only have so much time to get over a loss like this. It looks like so maybe
Matt,
even Iris is crying here as
yeah,
yeah, I mean
well, I
they're
mean,
taking that
it's
loss
not,
pretty hard.
it's not over here. So
Bummer.
quickly, we got one more question to get through, and then I want to sort of break
Yeah.
this one down. Obviously, the Overwatch League Stream On with T-Mobile Fan Connection is presented by T-Mobile, leader in 5G. We're jumping into another magenta moment here, and this question is just because we're short on time. This question goes to Matt specifically. I want to challenge you here.
Me?
Yes. The question, let me just find it here, comes from CJ Duya on Twitter. And he asks, what's the best team? What's the best 6 players you can create using only players from teams in the bottom of the standings? That's the bottom 2 in each region. So you have to create a team from the
Bottom two in
Titans,
each
the
region.
Spitfire, the Charge, and the Valiant. You have to make a 6-player team.
Okay. I would take Krong.
Mm-hmm.
I would take is it I'd probably take Hottie.
Yeah, it's main tank. Yep.
Hottie is main tank. I would take Teru from Vancouver.
Okay.
This may be a little bit of a shocker. I'll take Crystal from the Valiant. I'll take Kariv from Guangzhou.
Okay, this is actually kind of panning out.
And then
who's your main support player?
well, I mean, this is tough.
Do you get, what, you
Can
choose
I
from
play?
Fennec?
Can I
Fire?
play?
I don't. Is Chara still playing for the
No, they
Charge?
have a
No, that's right.
new player for Guangzhou. I'll take him. Who's the guy in Guangzhou? I'll take that guy.
I can't be
that
have to
bad.
check. I'm not super sure.
They
who
had
they-
Chara. I don't think he's it. Why do I feel like it's oh no, they had somebody from New York that they got a while ago, but yeah, I mean
it's Mandu. Yeah, it's
Mandu.
Mandu.
Yeah,
from New
he
York.
played from New York. Yeah, I'll take Mandu for sure. That's I don't know
Okay.
how good that team would be, but there's my picks.
Look, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Hey, CJ, do your T-Mobile has you covered. Not only the question answered, thank you for the question, by the way. Matt sweated over that one for a bit. T-Mobile's also going to hook you up with a 5G phone and Overwatch gear. So thanks for your question. That's all the questions that we had for today. So now we can unpack that series because it's not over for the Reign, gentlemen, but they look like they're taking it hard.
Yeah.
It's tough to see them take it that hard, knowing they have to go again today. I think if you're Atlanta,
No, not today. Like pretty soon.
right.
One day break, yeah.
But I think though, if you're the coaching staff and some of the other staff on Atlanta, you gotta kind of get them together and get like that team morale and spirit up again. Take them down to the beach for an hour. Get them out of the room.
I guess it's not that late there, right? Still, yeah.
No,
At least they're in Hawaii.
yeah, at least
Yeah.
they're in Hawaii.
They didn't get
like-
steamrolled either, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't a steamroll. So
No, I think that's what you're gonna have to drill into their mind of say, hey, like it's a really tough series.
Mhm.
It's as close as you can possibly get for a 3-1. You've already 3-0'd New York. You've seen Shanghai lose to Dallas horribly. If you get back tomorrow, there are more controls in that series. And that's one of your best game modes. That's the game mode you win today.
Right.
So and tomorrow's a completely new day. So if you're able to do that, you can make it a go. I think you have to get the spirits high again. You have to get everybody ready because those a team like Shanghai or New York, whoever wins that, they come into that last match hot and they feel confident. If you're not mentally there, if you're Atlanta, it could get dangerous.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I think though that we kind of proved that first of all, we learned that I think Dallas's composition is the strongest now. The fact that Atlanta had to switch and match it, and I think that they're kind of the best at it right now. Tons changes over like a tournament bracket. and like a little meta develop through itself sometimes within that. But I don't know if there's enough time for everyone else to adjust. Hey, just want to say to everybody, thanks for joining us for Overwatch League's Stream On with T-Mobile. When you game, you know T-Mobile has you covered. America's largest and fastest 5G network has the speed you need for that last-minute boost. It's just another way the leader in 5G is changing the game. Visit T-Mobile.com today to check it out. Your game will thank you. Dion, David, Matt, thanks so much for joining me here on this show. It's been great to, get to pick your brain a little bit, not only about the game, but also sort of how the league looks through your eyes. And we look forward to another chance to catch up. But to everyone at home watching, thanks for joining us for this co-stream, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye-bye.